Welcome into Hockey Sense, everybody. What's going on today? Hope everyone's doing well. We've got a big show for you on this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. First Community, give them a call today. Check them out online, firstcommunity.com, and see so many of the different options they have, including Little Blues, the best program to get involved in if you want to get your son or daughter invested into the game of ice hockey. And not just invested, but before you invest. I mean, a lot of money to have your son or daughter play hockey, but first find out if they love it, if they like it, if they want to continue to do it. No better way to do it than signing them up for Little Blues. Now, here's what you get. You get like 6 ice times, great coaching. I mean, it's a super fun experience for the kids, and all the equipment comes with it. So, your skates, your stick, your pants, your shin pads, elbow pads, gloves, everything. Head to toe. You don't have to go to the hockey shop and worry about buying little Johnny or little Susie some hockey gear because it all comes with it with Little Blues. Best program. My son started out with Little Blues. I mean, so many of his teammates did. And this weekend, they're playing in the CCM World Invite in Chicago, which brings teams from all over the place. It's one of the biggest tournaments of the year. So they're up in Chicago doing that. Good luck to all the St. Louis teams and all of the teams participating in the CCM World Invite. It wouldn't be possible without people like First Community who support the game of ice hockey. I mean, they are the title sponsor of the St. Louis Blues Hall of Fame. That event is coming up in January. Always look forward to that with Alexander Steen and Al Arbor and Barrett Jackman going in this year. The 2026 class for the St. Louis Blues Hall of Fame, brought to you by First Community. And then, of course, Little Blues, brought to you by First Community, presented by First Community. Check it out online today, firstcommunity.com. Dirt cheap, fun, your one-stop party shop. Use that promo code BLUES. Guess what? You get free delivery. So if you live within 10 miles, a 10-mile radius of one of the stores, which you probably do because there's stores everywhere, because that's what the Wallace family does. I mean, nobody gets it done like the Wallace family. They flat out get it done with dirt cheap, fun. Don't sleep on the party supplies that they have there. So if you are having fall campfires, Thanksgiving parties, you're looking to gear up for the holidays, you're having holiday parties, and no better place to shop than Dirt Cheap. I mean, they've got the best selection of beer, wine, and booze in addition to the party supplies. Again, use that promo code BLUES, and you will get free delivery. So download the app today. Find out all the deals. They've got so many great deals on the app, too. You got to have the app for Dirt Cheap, fun. Cheap, fun. Your one-stop party shop, baby. Cross Country Mortgage, Mark Cooper, 314-713-4377. If you are a first responder, you go to sleep. I mean, you sleep very well right now knowing the First Community has taken care of you and your family in the event that you suffer a critical injury. Guess what? Your mortgage is covered up to $525,000. Are you kidding me with Cross Country? Are you kidding me with Mark Cooper? I mean, get out of here, Mark Cooper. You're unbelievable. 1 in every 35 mortgages are closed with Cross Country Mortgage. Mark Cooper is the absolute man. 314-713-4377. 314-713-4377. Cross Country Mortgage. Call Mark Cooper today. They've got great incentives for medical personnel. If you're a doctor, you can have a bunch of your fees waived up to $1 million. They take care of you if your loan is up to $1 million bucks. Just by saying Hockey Sense or using my name, Andy Strickland, you also will have your closing costs and all your appraisal fees and everything else waived for all the refinances out there. And they've got some great rates right now of refinances in the 6s, 15-year refinances, 30-year refinances in the 5s. You can get them right now. They're the lowest they've been in a calendar year. Thanks to Mark Cooper. 314-713-4377, Cross Country Mortgage. Call Mark Cooper today. David Novak, he's happy today after a big Blues shutout victory last night, 3-0 over the Buffalo Sabres. 314-920-5713. Call him today. Get that free estimate. Siding, roofing, gutters, soffit, fascia, whatever it is you're looking for. Call David Novak, Blue No Roofing, and call him today. All right. We're talking about a Blues win today, which we haven't done a whole lot of this season and certainly haven't done a whole lot of here on Hockey Sense. That was a great victory for the Blues. And when I say great victory, it doesn't mean they played a perfect game. But they needed it in the worst way. So we'll take anything you can get right now. I think if you're the St. Louis Blues, you'll take the 3-0 victory. And they got a great performance by Joel Hofer, which is the name of the game. I mean, when you've allowed the most goals in the NHL and your goals against average and your save percentages, what it is as a team for the Blues, and it's not just on the goalies, as a team for the Blues, you're just not going to win consistently in the NHL. It's not going to happen. So you get goaltending last night and you see what the difference is. Get a couple of timely goals, get that shorthanded goal. The Blues have shorthanded goals now in back-to-back games with Matthew Joseph showing that separation and getting the nice breakaway goal, and he didn't play the night before against Washington. He was a healthy scratch. And I know the big news is Jordan Kyrou being a healthy scratch, and of course, Oscar Sundquist didn't play. And, this is just what happens when you've lost what is it, like 8 of 9 going into last night's game? I mean, something's gotta give, and you're gonna have to send a message, not only to individuals, but also to players. And Jordan Kyrou hasn't played his best hockey over the course of the last few weeks. There was a stretch, I think he had goals in 3 consecutive games. He looked dangerous. Thought he looked good in that Minnesota game to start the season. Even though the Blues got pummeled 5-0 on the scoreboard, he was dangerous in that game. But let me just say this, though, about Jordan Kyrou real quick, and then I'm gonna move on from it, and we'll see if he's back in the lineup tomorrow against Seattle. And I would imagine he will be. He's such a dangerous player. But you just never know what is going on behind the scenes. And yeah, sometimes a coach will scratch a player because of performance. And I think performance certainly had a lot to do with this. But you never know what's leading or contributing to poor performance. And I think that's where you need to pump the brakes as a fan because you don't always know the full story. You don't know what a player is going through behind the scenes, what they're dealing with, what's contributing to the negative performance. And I'm not going to sit here and say there is or isn't anything going on behind the scenes there with Jordan Kyrou, but you just never know. You don't know what these athletes are going through, and in the case of Jordan Kyrou, I would sit back and just pump the brakes. If you watch him play over the course of the last handful of games, 3-4 games, he doesn't look like himself. He isn't playing with the same level of pace, of intensity, work ethic. I mean, his game is predicated around his speed and his ability to skate, and he just hasn't had the legs the last couple of games. So, maybe a refresh, having him sit out and getting control over everything that he may or may not be dealing with, I think is priority number one for Jordan Kyrou. So we hope to see him back in there and hope to see him, ready to go once he is back in the lineup. But the Blues needed it. Great to see Joshua Dunn, my boy from Buffalo. Was texting with him this morning, texting with his dad, Tom, last night. Tom and Tammy, and of course his sisters who have gone on to greatness on the women's side with Jincy now being a part of the PWHL and a former USA Olympian and a great player with the St. Louis AAA Blues. And Joy being a great player with the St. Louis AAA Blues, and James being a great kid, and Jessica, and everybody that is affiliated there with the Dunn family. It's just you got to be so proud of Joshua, the fact that he's playing games in the National Hockey League. Last night was his 8th game of the season. I think they like him there in Buffalo. Gets in the scrap with Tyler Tucker. We saw them talking before the game, and then it carried over into the game, and they fought 7 or 8 minutes in, something like that. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But Josh Dunn was a big part of that 1998 birth year that had the likes of Clayton Keller and Trent Frederick and Joseph Wool and Logan Brown, and Jeff Brown was the coach. I mean, Brady Tkachuk was a 99, but he played up with the 1998. So just a great birth year, and another kid making the NHL was a great story for St. Louis hockey and a great story for the Dunn family. Joy is playing in the rivalry series games right now for Team USA against Canada. And she'll be on the USA Olympic team, and she'll be a big part of USA hockey moving forward. She's an absolute star at Ohio State University, and she was a star with the St. Louis AAA Blues playing on the boys' side as well, just like her sister Jincy did. So I had a chance to coach teams that had Joshua on it, coach teams that had Joy on it. I've been on the ice a ton with Jincy. Um, and so it's just great to see the family having success. And I know how proud the parents are, which is always great to see. How about Nick Bukestad? I mean, he gets another goal last night. He's got 4 now on the season. And, he's not playing a ton. Doesn't have the biggest role on the team, but, experience pays off, and you're starting to see it from a guy like Nick Bukestad, who gets his 4th goal of the season. Defensively, the team was better. I did think it was interesting that the team skated. They had a morning skate yesterday prior to the Buffalo game after playing the night before against Washington. I mean, that is just wild stuff to me to see that happen. You just don't normally see a morning skate, but maybe that was good for the team. Listen, sometimes nobody has a pulse on the team or of the team better than the coach. I mean, that's what they're paid to do. I mean, they got to have an accurate read on the team almost all the time and know what buttons to push, when to motivate, when to step back. And in the case of Jim Montgomery, he sensed what they needed. Hard to say it didn't work when you go out there and win the game 3-0. So that was great to see. Milan Lucic skating in Springfield. So he's got the PTO. He's going to play, I believe, tonight. And I would think we'll see him in a Blues uniform at some point before too long, unless things just really go south for him down in the American League and he just looks like he can't play. But I think the plan is to get him here eventually. Big shout out to Alexander Ovechkin. Listen, I've seen a lot of history already this season, being on the road and being home. But on the road, seeing Sidney Crosby score his 1,700th point, seeing Connor McDavid with point number 1,100 here in St. Louis, and then Alexander Ovechkin gets his 900th goal of his NHL career. I mean, just incredible stuff to see him get number 900 and to see it live and to see what he's done for the hockey community and for that franchise there in Washington, D.C. is something else, man. You're going to have a Russian with a statue outside of the building there in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. Just amazing stuff from Alexander Ovechkin. Gold number 900. Big shout out to him. Now, a lot of controversy with Puckgate afterwards with Jordan Binnington essentially just being Jordan Binnington. That's what he is. That's what he does. If you don't like it, listen, I get why you don't like it. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you that you should like it. But for those people who have followed his career, it shouldn't surprise you. And it's Binnington being Binnington. So he gave the puck back. He was always going to give the puck back. He talked about it the next day. I talked to him about it for a long time, actually. I love Benner, man. I think he's hilarious. He understands the moment. But that was Obi's moment, and I think you want to make that about Obi, and I think it was made about Obi. I don't think it interfered with him getting the necessary or deserved attention that he should have gotten after scoring his 900 goals. So big shout out to Alexander Ovechkin. All right, we've got lots more to come on this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Jeff Marek from The Sheet, from DFO Network, formerly of Hockey Night in Canada. I've had Jeff Marek on the show for over 20 years. Looking forward to talking pucks with him. Lots to get into with Jeff. Jamal Mayers also coming your way. I believe he's in Chicago for the CCM World Invite too, so we'll catch up with him later on in the show, and lots more to get into here on this edition of Hockey Sense. One more thing before we take a break. When you lose a lot, now here come the rumor mill, right? And yeah, when you lose, and if you're going to be way out of the playoffs and you don't feel like you can get back in, then you're going to hear rumors surrounding the St. Louis Blues and surrounding Doug Armstrong, who is everywhere right now because he's scouting primarily for Hockey Canada for the Olympics coming up. But yeah, Braden Shen, you heard his name the last couple of years. You're going to hear his name again. You're going to hear Justin Falk's name. You may hear Kairu's name again, but you're going to hear some names start popping up. That's just the reality of the situation when you lose. Now, if they can turn things around, they've got a 4-game homestand coming up before they leave for 5 games. Toronto, Philly, and then the 3 New York teams. If they can take care of business at home, you're going to hear some of these rumors start to cool off a little bit. But if they don't, they're not going away. So no surprise that the rumors have already started regarding Doug Armstrong and what he may or may not do with the St. Louis Blues. It wouldn't surprise me to see him try to shake it up, to be honest with you. If they continue to lose. If they turn it around, then that's a different story. Could they use a more experienced defenseman on their third pair? Maybe so. Could they use a goal scorer in their top 9, somebody who can finish consistently? I'm watching Robert Thomas, and Thomas didn't play a lot in the second period. And I don't think Jim Montgomery was asked about it after the game. We were doing our post-game show. But, he could use a dynamic goal scorer to play with. Let's be honest. I mean, he's an elite passer. Passers need elite shooters and goal scorers to play with. And they've got those guys coming. Eventually, they'll be here. A guy like Justin Carbonneau who's tearing up the Quebec League, you just got to feel like this guy's going to score a lot of goals in the National Hockey League and should be ready to contribute right away once he gets here. Snuggerud's only going to get better, but you just wonder if that piece is available outside the organization. So we'll see. Something to always pay attention to. All right, Jeff Marek, he joins me next. I'm Andy Strickland. This is Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community, baby. All right, always great to have Jeff Marek join the show. It's a treat, always a pleasure. I had to ask him if he wore his purple sunglasses, but that is a reflection for people who are watching. It's the tint from his shirt.
Tint. That's yeah. I'm not. Andy. I'm not. You've known me forever. I'm not that cool. I just fake the funk. That's just a tint. That's just casual drive-by cool. I'm not. That's nothing. That's nothing deliberate. But
you could pull it off though, and you got the poppy too. I love the poppy. Hey, for the American viewers, to tell them what that is.
So this is Canadian. So Remembrance Day, November 11th, World War I ending at 11 o'clock. Eastern. This is from a very famous poem in Flanders Field, where poppies grow, row on row. This is a tribute to those that have lost their lives in service, men, women, and I always add, and animals as well. Then this is our yearly tribute. Poppies show up in early November, and then we take them off after November 11th as a way of us showing respect for those who have served our country in many wars, not just the two major conflicts, World War I and World War II, but other wars that Canada has been involved in and supported our neighbors and allies over the years. So this is our yearly tradition, and the Memorial Cup, you'll notice, which is also a tribute to those who have served. You'll see at the Memorial Cup, each team will have poppies on their jerseys, or maybe a sort of picture of a poppy on their helmets.
Okay.
We always get that one too. When I was doing Memorial Cup, we would always wear a poppy and be like, "Hold on, you Canadians wear these things in November." Well, the Memorial Cup tournament is essentially a 2 week tournament, which is a tribute and an honoring of the soldiers that have fallen, and those that have served as well.
I love it. It makes a lot of sense, and good on you to wear it, and good information. I always tell
Always.
people that Jeff Marek is a hockey historian. You always have some type of nugget. And listen, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but what is
Okay.
something that you've learned about the history of the game recently that you didn't know, Jeff? Is there anything that you've learned recently that you didn't know that you can share with us, or give us a piece of hockey history? It could have something to do with Ovi, who just scored number 900, but you always have something that you bring to the table.
Ooh, so what have I learned recently? I'm not sure if there's anything specifically like I'm always in the process
Yeah.
of learning different stories, learning things about people biographically. Oh, you know what? What am I talking about? I did learn something. I learned something last night, Andy. So last night I was doing an event in downtown Toronto, actually in the west end of Toronto, with Gary Leeman, former NHLer, 51 goal scorer, and
Yeah.
was on the 1993 Stanley Cup winning Montreal Canadiens. And we talked a lot about that. And he said, "Do you know the story about our cards?" I'm like, "No, what's your cards?" And he said, "In the 1993 playoffs, before we started, Patrick Waugh had cards made for everybody." And it says something along the lines of like, it was like, it was personalized. Each player had his number on it. And it was sort of inspirational, saying about, we're creating destiny, or we're creating history, or we have a focus. And every single Montreal Canadiens player had to have this card with him at all times, in their wallet, in their jacket pockets, in their jeans pocket, in their suit, whatever it was, they always had to have it with them. And Gary still carries it to this day.
Wow.
And he said, if you go back and you talk to anyone, Geek Harbin or whomever
Yeah.
from that 93 team, and ask them if they have the Patrick Waugh card, most of them still carry it to this day. The other thing about, I guess what this yesterday, I'm glad you asked this question. On the Stanley Cup ring the Montreal Canadiens had made, there's diamonds on it for all the times that the Montreal Canadiens have won the Stanley Cup. But also, there are diamonds on it honoring every other Canadian team that's won the Stanley Cup. Like, we
Wow.
talk about the Montreal Canadiens and how they have a sense of history about them. Andy, you've probably heard me make the same joke every year that there's only two places where they do ceremonies properly in the world: Buckingham Palace and the Bell Center. Like, this is an organization steeped in history, steeped in tradition, and steeped in class as well. I don't know, and maybe you can correct me on this, if there's been any other team that on their Stanley Cup ring doesn't just honor their organization, but honors other organizations that have won the Stanley Cup. And on that 93 team, the rings honor all the other Canadian teams that have won the Stanley Cup, not just the Montreal Canadiens. I
Wow.
thought that was a really nice touch by the Habs,
That is
going
cool.
back to 93.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
So yes, there you go. There's something I learned recently.
Dude.
And my first thought is like, no, I didn't learn anything. Like, last night you learned something,
Yeah,
dummy.
yeah, I knew it. I knew you'd bring something to the table. I can't wait to ask Kirk Muller about this
Ask him.
next time
Ask
I
him.
see him.
Ask him if he ask Kirk Muller if he still has the Patrick Waugh card.
Yeah, I will.
Ask him if he has the card that Patrick gave out. Because if you were asked for the card, Gary told me, if you were asked for the card at any point during the series and you didn't have it, that was a fine. I don't know how much, but that was a fine.
What did the
You had to
card
have that
say
card.
on it? Did it
It's something along the lines of, I can call Gary and ask him. It's something along the lines of, we're here. we're here to win a championship. We're
Okay.
here to create destiny. It's a way to focus. Patrick's idea was it was a way to focus everybody that every single day you had to look at this card and remind yourself
Yeah.
what we're doing right now. Like, guys, like, when you're on your way to the Stanley Cup, like, you're going to make the playoffs, you start to change your routine and you talk to your family about we need to have everything in order. So by the time, the playoffs start, there can't be any distractions.
Yeah.
Patrick's idea was this was a way for the Montreal Canadiens in 93 to focus themselves on what their job was that day and every single day throughout the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great performance, and Conn Smythe Trophy and all. It was a great performance by Patrick and great performance by the Montreal Canadiens. Now, as I've always pointed out, they got some big time help from the Islanders for knocking off Mario Lemieux and the Pittsburgh Penguins in that opening round. So the field kind of opened for the Habs here.
Yeah. I've seen so much history recently in person, like super fortunate, Jeff, to see Crosby get to 1,700 and McDavid at 1,100, and then Ovi see him score his 900th goal the other day. But remind me, do you remember when Ovi won the Calder Trophy with 52 goals his rookie season? Crosby had over 100 points as an 18-year-old. He had 102 points. He didn't have 120 until the following year, still as a teenager, I guess, right? He got to 120. But what was the mindset or the thought process at that time? Did people feel like Crosby deserved it? Did they feel like Ovechkin deserved it? And reflecting on it now, how do you look at who Ovi, winning that award over Crosby back then?
I can recall back then being of the same mindset that, despite what Crosby did points wise, man, you put up those numbers as a rookie. Andy, what's the hardest thing to do in hockey?
Score goals, yeah.
Score a goal. And this guy came into the NHL, and it wasn't just that he scored goals. It was how he scored goals. And it was the style. Like Ovechkin was like new rock and roll.
He was
in the NHL, like everything, like the tinted visor, the
yellow skates, laces.
Oh man, he had like his tongues, like the tongues of his skates were like over his toes. Like Boreas Salming used to have that look in the 1970s, and I was like, oh man, I want to get that Boreas. I think
Tongues
was
out?
but the tongues were like extra long.
Yeah.
And it looked like I don't know if you remember like doused skates from the 70s who had the super long tongue. There was like that super cool 70s look. It was like Ovechkin's bringing back that look. And then like the skate laces around the pants, dangling down grunge style, the low hanging pants. Like he had a vibe, he had a style about him too, and like every goal was spectacular, never quitting on pucks. I mean, Crosby was the more complete player, but Ovechkin was like the new era of the NHL and scoring that many goals in his rookie season. Like I was very much on board and fine with Ovechkin winning that Calder. No doubt.
Pittsburgh doing what they're doing right now is unbelievable. And Crosby, I think he's leading the league in goal scoring, has a couple more power play goals last night.
Yeah.
You feel like this is like, hey, this is them coming together, he and Malkin and, Letang and the whole, this could be their last year together. We'll see how it plays out, but something is different. And I don't know, maybe it's the coach, he's brought maybe a little bit of a different vibe there. Dan Muse, like he deserves a lot of credit too, but what's changed in your opinion? And is this sustainable for Pittsburgh?
Boy. Are you asking my head or are you asking my heart?
Well, you'll say you hope that it is because we want to see Crosby in the playoffs and do his thing. And it's so Crosby that when everybody is predicting this to be, this team to be among the worst in the league and no chance of making the playoffs, that he comes out and says, yeah, no, I'm going to stay in Pittsburgh. And then, hey, we're going to make the playoffs and we're going to be really good too.
It's interesting, Andy, going into this season, the one thing when I was asked about Crosby, what I would say is we're gonna find something out really interesting here. We're gonna find out what's more important to Crosby, winning or loyalty. And I thought that those two things, were going to be at loggerheads. If he wanted to win, he was going to have to go somewhere else. Obviously, if he's going to be loyal, he's going to stay where he's at. I never got the sense from Crosby ever in his career that he wanted his hockey DB page to be like 20 years of Pittsburgh and then 3 years with 3 different teams as he chases another Stanley Cup. This is remarkable. Now, one thing we should point, Malkin always has great starts. We'll see if he can keep it up for the rest of the way. I have no doubt about Crosby. You know, there are a lot of fitness influencers and workout gurus that'll tell you that, you know, men don't hit their athletic peak until they're 40. Like that's a sort of new school wisdom about when male athletes peak. I think we look at that sideways a little bit for a sport like hockey, but what we're seeing right now with Sidney Crosby is maybe there's some truth to that. My head tells me it's not sustainable. My heart, to your point, Andy, says I really hope that it is, because, you know, in between what your head knows and your heart feels, there's this thing called magic. And I think we all want our sports to have like a little element of magic. Like, I can't believe we're seeing this, or this shouldn't be happening. Hold on a second here. You know, these guys in their careers should have, like, you know, 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on a banana peel. This kind of stuff doesn't happen in hockey. So I think when I'm going along with the ride too, I want it to be true, because I still want there to be, even in the world of analytics where everything can get measured and granularly and everything can be explained. I still think that this is one of the reasons why we're sports fans and why we're hockey fans,
Mm.
because every now and then magic happens. And right now, the magic that we're seeing that we didn't think we were going to see is the Pittsburgh Penguins are competitive in the Eastern Conference.
Are we seeing magic in Southern California right now with Anaheim? I mean, that's where Disneyland is, and they score a ton of goals. And Joe Quenneville, I mean, you can't tell me coaching doesn't matter. We all know that the expiration date comes pretty quickly in the NHL with coaches, but once they get there, we just see some coaches have that ability to have that impact on teams right away.
And it makes it easier. You know, the other thing for with the presence of Joe Quenneville in Anaheim, it makes Pat Verbeek's job of recruiting
Yeah.
that much easier,
Mm.
right? You know this, like if players have Anaheim on their no trade, it's like, really, you don't want to be coached by Joe Quenneville? You don't see what he did for all these other players and all these other teams?
You don't want to play with Cutter Gauthier and Leo Carlson and all these guys that they have there now too. I mean, they got
Like,
some really good players.
dude, how good has Chris Kreider looked?
Oh my
Like
God,
Chris Kreider was on like the scrap heap last year with the New York
I
Rangers.
know.
And all of a sudden, like this is vintage Kreider. Like going into the summer, it's like, okay, the Ducks have to fix their power play,
Yeah.
and they go out and they get Chris Kreider. Jacob Truba's been excellent. By the way, Jacob Truba, I can't believe we got this deep into the season. Jacob Truba just took his first penalty last night. I don't think Jacob Truba's gone this deep into a season without taking a penalty ever, but the first one was last night.
That's because they have the puck the whole game, Jeff. You know,
I know it's in, like, honestly, like, for everybody on the East Coast, like, I know you might feel a little sleepy in the morning. Watch Ducks, man. Watch Ducks and watch Sharks. Sharks may not win a ton of games this year. They're probably headed to the lottery again, but man, is Macklin Celebrini doing something special? Like, we're seeing the rise there of Macklin Celebrini, and with the Anaheim Ducks. Yes, correct. And I think Gauthier is tied with Crosby for the lead in goals, as we all expected, Andy, right now. But, you know, the way that I really have to commend the Anaheim Ducks on how they've handled Leo Carlson.
Mm.
And nobody likes the term game management. Nobody wants to see that come to hockey in any profound way. But if you look at how the Anaheim Ducks transitioned him into the NHL and got him to a place now where he's top 10 in scoring. And every night, Leo Carlson is doing something where you're like, oh, yeah, that's why he was the second overall pick after Connor Bedard. The way that they brought him into the NHL is kind of brilliant. I mean, how many other rookies, Andy, would you have seen just dropped in? That's how they do it, right? Drop in, sink or swim, throw you into the deep end. What are you gonna do now, right? Like, it's the robin that throws the baby out of the nest. You're gonna fly, are you gonna crash? But they didn't do that with Leo Carlson, and they're seeing the dividends of it right now. Now, mind you, all of this is again possible when you get a save, right? Like Lucas Dostal here has been a huge part of this Anaheim Ducks story. But are we seeing magic? Yeah, this is great. This is fantastic to watch.
And I do think that's sustainable for them in the regular season to continue to win and be a playoff team when it's all said and done.
Playoff team, yes. I don't know that they'll be top of the table,
I agree.
like they are now. But, you know, listen, I'll go back. One of the things, Andy, when you did that, you know, it was a really impactful interview that you did with Joel Quenneville. Everybody talked about it. everybody tried to read in between the lines of what Joel was trying to tell us, by not telling us exactly what he wanted. But I thought, when you talk to him about coming back to coaching, and the teams that he mentioned, like these, like I think he mentioned like pretty much everybody in the Atlantic that was like Boston and Toronto and Tampa, etc. I very much was under the impression coming out of that interview that, Joel Quenneville only wants to be in a situation where the team is established and it's already a winning team, which is why when he took the Anaheim Ducks job, like I thought that Joel Quenneville might have gone to Boston, right? And a lot of that, I'll be honest with you, Andy, was based on the interview that you did with him and how he spoke about, teams that are still at the height of their powers or close to being, competitive for the Stanley Cup. And I was kind of surprised that he took the Anaheim job because I didn't think that they were as far along as they were. I still thought that there was going to be like another year or two of pain.
Yeah.
But he's come in there along with Pat Verbeek, bringing in veterans with all the kids, and they've accelerated this program quickly.
Yeah.
And I do get the sense that this was the year where ownership has probably said to Pat Verbeek, okay, we've invested in this for a long time now. This is the year we need to start to see a return on investment.
Yeah.
And so far, so good for Pat Verbeek and the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, and we'll see what it means for Team USA, because Kreider, I had him off the roster coming into the season, and I'm sure the top people with Team USA certainly did as well. And I don't know if his goal scoring will get him back on there. And Cutter Gauthier, I had him being as a guy that just misses, but it's going to be a big part of Team USA moving forward. And I think that would be the message that they would send to him. Hey, listen, if you don't play on this Olympics, you're going to be on the World Cup team 2 years from now, and you're going to be on the next Olympic roster. It may not be now, but then, things can certainly change with how he's played. And real quick about Joel Quenneville, I always felt like he was going to go somewhere where he was going to be comfortable, and he and Pat Verbeek go way back to their Hartford days.
Yep.
And, I think that connection obviously made him feel like that was the right move for him to make with Anaheim. So, listen, they're a fun team to watch and a team that's going to be a lot of fun to watch moving forward here. Ryan O'Reilly's comments after the game last night, and let me just preface this. Obviously, knowing Ryan very well, having him be here for several years, it's almost par for the course. He does this after games. He puts everything on his shoulders. He takes all the pressure, takes all the heat. I was terrible. I was awful. I've never heard him say I only had one good season in my career, though. So part of me says that's O'Reilly being O'Reilly, but what'd you make of it?
Couple of things. Tough to watch.
Yeah.
Much like Jakub Dobeš in Montreal, who put that loss on his shoulders and was like in tears in the dressing room.
Crazy.
The one thing, and I'm with you on that. The one comment that sticks out is I've only had one good season in the NHL.
It came out of nowhere, Jeff.
Well, and I thought a lot about it last night. I thought a lot about it this morning, knowing that we were going to talk about it. And here's where I'm at right now. You only say things like that if you're thinking about retirement. And I'm not saying that Ryan O'Reilly is going to retire right now, but I remember Kelly Rudy told me something that always stuck with me. He said, the minute you think about retirement, part of you retires. Like when you're young, like that's not even a word that you think about. It's not even a word that is in your vocabulary. You have your whole career ahead of you. That comment came out of nowhere from O'Reilly, and you can tell that he's thought about it a lot. And you only make comments like that when you're starting the process of thinking about what's next and you're evaluating your career. Now, I like Ryan O'Reilly a lot. He is one of my favorite players in the NHL. I would take exception to his comment about, well, I've only had one good year. And I think we all know what year that was, 2018-19, with the St. Louis Blues. But here's one of the hardest working players in this era. Here's one of the most effective two-way centers in this era. Here's someone who, as you mentioned, in 2018-19, took home all the hardware. And here's someone that, I can recall in Colorado when he signed that offer sheet with the Calgary Flames. And ultimately, after a number of detours along the way, it got matched. And he went back to Colorado. That wasn't necessarily a great situation for Ryan O'Reilly. Like there were people there on that team who weren't shy about saying to Ryan O'Reilly, like, you quit on us. You tried to leave, which is another unspoken thing about offer sheets. That when they get matched and you go back, how are you going to be received? By some people there, Ryan O'Reilly really wasn't received well. And then he goes to the Buffalo Sabres, and that miserable situation. He gave the interview about talking about how he had, I'm paraphrasing here, lost his passion for the game.
Yeah.
And found it. Like, he is, I find him to be one of the most thoughtful players in the NHL, one of the most honest players in the NHL. Like, people like this, we should cherish and celebrate in the league. But I know things are awful in Nashville right now. That's obvious. Even a casual hockey fan can look at that and go, oof, that's a really bad situation. But like you, Andy, the comment about I've only had one good year in my career. You only say things like that when you're clearly deep into the back nine of your career.
Yeah.
That's like, I think that O'Reilly's really, like, when you start to review your career, you start saying things like that and you start thinking things like that. Am I surprised that he said it? No. Because the thing that we know about Ryan O'Reilly is if you ask him a question, he will give you an answer and will probably give you more than you bargained for. I think guys like that should be cherished in our game.
Yeah.
I really do.
And I've always thought Ryan O'Reilly, you're going to have to pull him off the ice. He's only 34, Jeff. And he's played over 1,100 games. Obviously, he's been playing forever.
Yeah.
So, he's just got to rediscover that passion. He's got 6 goals on the season. He scored again last night. So he's just so hard on himself. It's just he'll be the first one on the ice today and the last one to get off the ice today. So I mean, that's just kind of who he is. What'd you think of Binnington putting Ovi's puck in his pants?
There is a long, just here, we started off by talking about history. There is a long tradition in the NHL of stealing pucks, like significant pucks. Pat Stapleton, 1972, in the Summit Series, stole the game puck behind Tretiak after Henderson scored and denied it for years until video appeared that showed them actually fishing the puck out of the net. And what I loved about what Stapleton did after is anytime anyone asked him about it, the story changed about where the puck was. And Pat Stapleton is no longer with us, and he took the real story of what happened to the puck to the crematorium along with him. So we'll never know. Chris Pronger in 2010 stealing pucks in that Philadelphia-Chicago series as a matter of gamesmanship. But my favorite one, it's funny, we're just talking about Gary Leeman in 1993. If you go back and look at the dying seconds of the 93 Stanley Cup final, Daryl Sador skates behind his net. Kelly Moody stops the puck, skates behind the net, grabs the puck. Clock is ticking down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As the buzzer goes, he flips the puck into the stands.
Remember that.
And it's like, first of all, that has the makings, Andy, of a great documentary. Find that puck.
Where is
the game puck from the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup? Daryl Sador just fires it up into the stands at the Forum. Where's that puck? Who knows? Who has that puck? Who knows? Is it in a bucket somewhere? We don't know. Is it in someone's living room? We don't know. We have no idea where that puck is. So, first of all, congratulations to Jordan Binnington. You've joined a long list of people in the NHL and in international hockey stealing pucks as a matter of gamesmanship. I laughed. I don't know what else you can do other than laugh. And I also laugh at the conspiracy theories of how do we know that Jordan Binnington already didn't have a puck in his pants, thinking I might surrender the goal, I'm going to steal the puck, and I'm going to give the fake puck to the official who's going to want it from me. Maybe Jordan Binnington still has that puck if we want to get grassy knoll conspiracy theory.
I asked him yesterday, Jeff. I asked him yesterday.
What did he say? What did he say?
I said, I go, tell me you didn't have another puck already in there.
What did he say? What did he say?
He just laughed. Like he was like got such a dry sense of humor. This is totally Binnington being Binnington.
Yes.
And I know
I agree.
I heard people being 100%. Like, oh, he tried to steal the moment from Ovi, and come on, Ovi had his moment. I was there. They celebrated Ovi. It's just Binnington being Binnington. I hope he never changes. We need people like that and personalities in the NHL, especially when it's done with an authentic nature and it's genuine and it's exactly who they are. I mean, it's so on brand for Jordan Binnington. I wouldn't expect anything less. It's hilarious to me.
That's it. The on brand is the best way to put it. That is Jordan Binnington. Like, that's the kind of competitor he is. I don't think that it's trivial. I don't think that it's trying to take the thunder away from Ovechkin. Like, goalies hate being like Corey Hirsch still to this day, resents, that he was on a postage stamp for the Peter Forsberg goal.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say resents because I think Corey has a good sense of humor about it now.
He does.
But like, what goaltender, wants to be on a postage stamp?
I know.
Belly flop while Forsberg scores.
Well, Binnington went into that game being like, this guy is not going to make history on me. I'm not letting him score. Such a weird goal too.
And that's it. Like, that's probably the weakest shot Ovechkin's ever taken. when you look at it, like even Ovechkin himself was like, yeah, it's a muffin. Like he just sort of loafed it up, and it just happened to be open at that point. So the competitor that Jordan Binnington is, here we are talking about, Ryan O'Reilly and Jakub Dobeš beating themselves up. I'm sure like inside right away, Jordan Binnington is like, oh F. No effing way.
Yeah.
And like that's it. I'm grabbing this puck. Forget it.
Yeah.
No one's getting this. I'm grabbing. Now, I don't know that you don't have the understanding, like there's cameras everywhere.
I asked him.
You're not gonna get away with it.
I said, hey, did you think like nobody would see you do that? He goes, yeah, Strick, there's only 40 cameras there. I thought nobody would see. So he was like giving it to me. I'm like, okay, that's a fair point. But it was great. I love Binnington. Real quick, a minute. I know you got to get in to see your son play, but what'd you think of Dobeš? I mean, did you feel bad for him? Like, do you think there's more to it? Like, why? I've known that kid for a long time. When he came and played midget hockey here in St. Louis, talked to him, saw him this summer. Like he loves the game. He loves to play. But I didn't love seeing him putting that much pressure on himself as a young goaltender who's gotten off to a great start this season.
In his head, so I don't know what he's feeling, but I really I was upset watching it, just trying to think like if this is like a Thursday night in early November, and you're beating yourself up about a game when you've had an incredible start to the season and have kept the Montreal Canadiens in and around the top of the table in the Atlantic Division. To beat yourself up that profoundly about that game. I understand he's a competitor, and that's what that was all about. I know every goaltender is different, but I always look to Carey Price, ironically enough, another Montreal Canadian goaltender, and not riding the roller coaster. Like the one thing I always loved about Carey Price, Sandy, is when you saw his interviews after the game, you could never tell if Montreal won or lost the game.
Yeah.
He was so even.
Marty Brodeur too, those guys, yeah.
The guys that can just park it. The highs aren't too high and the lows aren't too low.
Mm-hmm.
Man, NHL seasons are long, and if he's riding the emotional roller coaster based on wins and losses through an entire season, that's going to make an already challenging season even harder.
Yeah.
It was hard to watch. I feel bad for Dobeš if he's beating himself up that much. Like, look, part of Ryan O'Reilly's situation is Nashville is just a bad team. Like, this team is having a really, really hard time. Montreal is still one of the best stories in the NHL. And Dobeš is a big part of why this team is a great story in the NHL. And if you're riding the highs and the lows like that, it just makes a season that's already hard physically and mentally even harder. I hope that he's okay.
Yeah.
I hope that he's okay.
All right. Well said. You're the best, Jeff, man. Go watch your son. Man. Well, what do we have today?
Hockey dad time.
What's the name of your son?
This is Brody.
Brody.
I got two sons, and I remember when Cal Dubas took over the Toronto Maple Leafs. I was like, yeah, I just traded for your son. Both names TJ and Brody. Nothing to do with the ex-NHL defenseman TJ Brody. It's just
that's the way.
It's the way that it worked. Trent James is our first son's name. TJ, you get the cool initials as a kid. And Brody had I wanted Brody because it's my favorite character in Jaws.
Ah, nice.
Sheriff Brody. And I wanted to get also Quint. I wanted Brody, Quint, my two favorite characters from Jaws. And my wife's like, you're not getting two. So I didn't get Brody Quint, but it turned into Brody Quint. How about that?
All right. Well, good luck today to Brody Quint and the rest of his team, Jeff.
Thanks, bud.
You're the best. Always great catching up to you. I really appreciate it as always.
Talk soon. Thanks, Andy.
All right, Jeff. That's Jeff Marek joining us on this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Let's step aside. Jamal Mayers joins us next, wherever he is. I think he's in Chicago. We'll talk with Jammer next on this edition of Hockey Sense. Don't go anywhere. We'll get to Jamal Mayers here in just a second. Do want to tell you about Kirkwood Fence. Are you looking to get a new fence? Now's the time to do it with Kirkwood Fence. Nobody does it better. Building a fence is a big investment. You knew that. You don't want to get stuck with poor quality because those fences don't last. There's no chance they'll last. You don't want a poor quality fence. Don't do it. The trusted experts at Kirkwood Fence, over 45 years they've been doing this. So with that experience, you avoid all the problems and you end up with the fence of your dreams. And you can end up with the fence of your dreams, man. There's so many different options there at Kirkwood Fence. Schedule the free design today with a consultation from a fence expert at kirkwoodfence.com. Receive the estimate based on your budget and the fence styles. Look at all the different fence styles. 5-star installers that get to work building the fence almost immediately, and they'll take care of you in the event anything ever goes wrong. It's the best customer service to get anywhere. So kirkwoodfence.com. Check it out. Check it out today. Kirkwood Fence. Nobody does fencing like Kirkwood Fence. Hackett Security. Listen, when I'm traveling, it's amazing how secure I feel, knowing that my family is safe because of Hackett Security. And if you're looking for security for your home, but also for your business, then you want to look at Hackett Security, because nobody does security quite like Mike Hackett and the team over there with Hackett Security. They secure like government buildings and government officials all over the country. They've got businesses and offices in DC, Virginia, Scottsdale. They've got people who work with Hackett Security that speak pretty much every language known to man. So if you're Russian or you come from Europe or Asia and you need to speak to somebody who speaks your language, they can take care of that over at Hackett Security. Give them a call today, 314-432-4200. Look at the cameras, get your house secure, get your business secure, get your government secure with Hackett Security. They got a solution for everybody. And alarm systems are so important, man. Make sure your family is protected. Make sure you have your belongings and your prized possessions secure. There's nothing worse than having something bad happen to you, and you can help prevent that with a security system from Hackett Security. All right, let's bring in Jamal Mayers in Chicago, joining us here on Hockey Sense. What's up?
How we doing?
What are you doing? Are you in the lounge?
No, I'm in my room. These, what's it called? The something
Oh, it's a
suites.
suite. Okay, nice.
Something suites. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a suite. Got a little couch area here. Set up the camera. Do a little talk hockey with you. Let's do
Nice
it.
little painting in the background. Are you loving hockey season right now? Like, I mean, this is like the weirdest season. Like, is this sustainable? All these teams that like are kind of surprising you who are winning here early, the Anaheims, the Detroits, the Pittsburghs. Is all of this like sustainable? Now we see Tampa Bay come, they have a big third period and they're starting to win. The Florida Panthers, get a big victory. Like, when do we start to realize who's for real?
Oh, that's a great question, because typically they say U.S. Thanksgiving, you kind of played your way out of the playoffs. But I think we have a unique situation this year, and you're right. There's a lot of teams that have, that we all expected to be in the playoffs. And I'm not talking one or two. There's several teams, and I'll go through them with you. Think about it. Like, the Leafs are in a wild card spot. We never thought they'd be there. Tampa Bay, Washington, Florida, Ottawa. We thought the Rangers would figure it out back this year. All of them are out below the line, in the East. In the West, teams that you thought for sure would be there. Obviously, you've got the Blues. You thought the Flames would take a step forward. You've got the Wild that you thought would be in there. They're not. Vancouver, we thought would return. LA's out of it. Like, there's a lot of teams that we all thought would be in the mix for the playoffs, either at least a wild card or a playoff spot.
Yeah.
That has created some surprises, right? You got Anaheim, Seattle. Who would have thought that those teams would be in there? Those probably the two biggest surprises in the West. And then the East, I knew Montreal was real, but I didn't think they'd be this good. They're a massive surprise, as are the Penguins, and Detroit for that matter. So it's a lot of really. I think it's going to take longer to sort out. Because of all the uncertainty.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be literally all the way to the end of this calendar year.
That's fair. Nick Suzuki, from Montreal. It just, they haven't been overly competitive throughout the course of his career. So you hear how great he is. He's the captain of the Canadians. But outside his market, he just doesn't get a ton of love. The Canadian media certainly gives him a lot of attention. But now I feel like he is truly playing his way closer and closer to maybe earning a spot on the Canadian Olympic team, Jamal. What separates him from the other centers in the league? And where do you have him in terms of what level of star player, what category do you put him in the league right now?
Well, I'll tell you this. He's not taking one of the top 6 spots, right? I think that's fair. I think the thing that's in his favor is that he's so well-rounded. And he can be a distributor, he can check, he's responsible defensively, he can kill penalties. And I think as you're filling out those bottom parts of the lineup, and there will be changes from 4 nations for every team, particularly for Canada and the US, there will be some changes. And I think the fact that you've got, Mark Scheifele playing extremely well, you've got Celebrini playing extremely well, and you've got Suzuki. I think what it comes down to is the decision that they're going to make, in my opinion, is going to be based on that player's versatility, their versatility to play in the bottom 6, the versatility to play not only center but the wing, their versatility to kill penalties and do other things and check. And I think that will be the determining factor. Is it becomes then more about fit, right? So no one's going to debate that those 3 players should be on there. Who are they taking off, right? Who are they taking off? But also, I think it will become down to like what makes Suzuki attractive in particular is his versatility, and I think that will help him. And I honestly believe this. I think it also helps Celebrini, and probably puts a guy like Scheifele third on that list for me of those 3.
Okay. Yeah, and Scheifele obviously having a great year and as good of a goal scorer as you're going to find in the NHL right now. Macklin Celebrini, you get to see San Jose play a lot. But before we get to Celebrini, his interactions with Tyler Toffoli and like, what's Toffoli meant to that team? Like, I mean, who is he in San Jose right now?
Oh, he's like the papa. He's the big brother, the guy who I believe has the ability to give Macklin, their best player, the space to lead. And to his credit, it takes a tremendous amount of humility to allow that to happen. Because how that happens in practical terms, Andy, as I'm sure you know, but I'll remind you, is it almost takes. Toffoli has warts on his game, like lots of people, right? He's an offensive guy who takes chances, who turns the puck over. There are going to be moments where he has to allow Macklin the space to lead. And that actually means a conversation where he says to him, hey, I need you to call me out. I will accept that when it happens, because that's your next step in leadership. And I, as a leader, have to recognize that and give you the space as a 19-year-old, because you're our best player doing the right things all the time. And I hope, and I think that he has that character from my limited interactions with him, that Toffoli understands that that's his role as a leader, is to help pass that torch to Macklin, who's inevitably the next captain, to give him the space to lead. And that requires, as I mentioned, some humility on his part to accept it.
Listen, I saw a clip that you posted on your Instagram, and then they asked you on the San Jose show if Celebrini, he's on pace for 130 points, and yeah, he's not going to get 130 most likely, but you said under for 100. I'm just wondering if you've changed your opinion on that since then, because this guy, I just don't see him slowing down, Jamal, and it wouldn't surprise me at all, and I know you wouldn't be surprised either if he got to 100.
Yeah, the reason why I say that is because they don't have a tremendous amount of depth, right? So the number one thing isn't his play, isn't like the fact that he's obviously jumped off the page. It's how effective can the second line be? That'll determine it for me. So if Kurashev really is a second line guy who really can stay there and produce with Wenberg, and I think, and it won't be Gaudette, because Gaudette is only filling in because of an injury. It'll certainly be Eklund.
Good
Can that
player.
can that threesome, Eklund, Wenberg, and Kurashev, can they produce offensively to take some of the heat off of Mac? Because as it gets tighter, it's going to be harder to score. Teams are not going to be surprised any longer that this Sharks team competes. That Macklin is a legit top 10 player in the league. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to get easier. So I think those two factors are kind of at play for me. I love it when players prove me wrong. So I hope he does prove me wrong, because he is fun to watch and way more offensively gifted than I thought. And, the comparisons to Jonathan Toews, no disrespect to Johnny, but he's at a higher level offensively than I believe Johnny was.
Wow. And he's seeing all the top matchups, right? He's on the ice against every
Yes,
other team's best defenseman every shift, and he's
he
still
is.
producing on a consistent basis in just his second year of the league. Um, I love watching him play, and I love the fact that he's kind of like leading the way for this young generation of superstars in the league. That he's kind of ahead of the class right now, because there's a lot of good ones, Jamal. I mean, there's so many good players in the league right now. What was your impression of Ovi the first time you ever saw this guy play? When you're on the ice playing against him, Jamal, what was your first impression?
Well, first of all, he's not just a goal scorer. Back then, when he first came in, he was an absolute animal.
Animal.
He would terrorize defensemen and enjoyed the physical part of the game. Um, almost at times reckless in some respects. And, you know, but that exuberance, that passion that he played with, it also meant he was physical, and it was unbelievable how durable he's been his entire career. Because for the first 15 years, I mean, he was physical. He was hitting like 4 or 5 hits a night kind of thing. So I thought this guy's just a savage. Like, he was a power forward, and then you start to realize what he was able to do on the power play. So as a penalty killer, we had a thing called the OV Shea, that you have to, like, just like Shea Weber and Stamkos and a lot of the great players like Brett Hall that could hit the one timer. Well, Holly was different because he'd come down the slot and hide behind the wing. He was just brilliant at finding the pockets on the strong side.
Kovalchuk, right? I mean, there's other guys. I mean, these guys.
Yeah, it's just guys that you just had to be aware of where, and they weren't picking corners. That's the thing about their one timer. They're beating the goalie to the spot, and there's a difference. And I think that he just shot it so hard that he could score from distance, and you really wanted to be able to take him away. But you knew that this guy, very few players, at that era, I don't know if it's hard to remember, but the reality is most players playing against him didn't like how much he celebrated. Like,
Yeah.
that was like the disdain of our era. Like, we didn't like that part. I think that's the best part about his game,
Oh my god.
that he's allowed, it's made everybody endure him. Like, that's what made him so special too, was how much he loved scoring. And it wasn't coming from a place of like ego. It was coming from a place of pure joy and excitement that he scored. And it was every time he scored, he was the same way. But I do remember it was off-putting to a lot of guys from my era. But looking back, I think that was just him.
Yeah, but he celebrates just as much if his teammate scores, and
Yeah.
that's how I tell my son that. Like, if your teammate scores, you're on the ice with him. You go celebrate with your teammate. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's so important to do that, and that's why his teammates always loved him. And obviously, he had the style with the yellow skate laces and the visor and all of that too. But I remember the first time. I think the first time the Blues ever played against him, and you would have been on the team in 05, 06, and he hit Eric Weinrich so hard, Jamal. I mean, it was one of the hardest hits, and I'm like, this guy is a savage. He's crazy, and the fact that his body would hold up, and the fact that he's had the longevity, is uh, is amazing. Who impressed you more when you saw them live for the first time? Was it Crosby or Ovi? Like, because what were your impressions of
Oh.
Crosby? Everyone wanted to kill Crosby, didn't they?
Yeah, honestly, Crosby was like he just outworked you and like was super skilled, and honestly, I think you're probably more afraid at that time of even though the score sheet probably didn't kind of fooled you. He'd end up with 3 or 4 points, but you're probably more aware and afraid of Ovechkin at that time.
Yeah, just because of his ability to score goals. Um, so I've seen a lot of history. I saw live Crosby get 1,700. I saw McDavid get 1,100. Now Obi get 900. So we've seen a lot of history here against the Blues. The Blues won a big game yesterday. It's always interesting, Jamal, and I say big game because they needed it in the worst way after getting just pummeled the night before against Washington. But did you ever skate the next day after a game when you had a back-to-back in the morning? The Blues had a morning skate yesterday in the second half of a back-to-back. I don't remember ever seeing that.
We've definitely had optional, but not like a
It was a practice.
mandatory.
It wasn't even a morning skate. It was full-on practice. I mean, there's a lot of teaching going on. But it's amazing, Jamal, what goaltending can do for you. You know, because you can say all you want about the Blues and this guy not producing and this guy not scoring. When you're last in the league in goals against and your save percentage is what it is, even though there's been a lot of bad bounces and maybe some bad puck luck, the numbers speak for themselves. When you get great saves like they got last night from Joel Hofer in the first period, I mean, some unbelievable saves, and he shuts out the opposing team. That's a recipe for winning, especially on the road in the NHL. You got to have goaltending to win, don't you?
Yeah, you said it. I think at the end of the day, it's got to be infuriating for the coaching staff when your both goaltenders are struggling at the same time, because what happens is in real time is the players start to question their structure. They start to question their structure, then they're not playing on their toes. They're not playing on their toes, and they're receding and not being aggressive in those situations. And other teams can smell that fear. And so, and then even worse than that, when a goal that you believe should be stopped goes in, it gives the feeling of the bench of oh, now here we go. And that feeling takes away from the energy. That feeling takes away from your ability to play aggressively, and it really affects everything. It affects how you play offensively, about the D holding pucks in and being aggressive along the boards on long rims and all those types of things, keeping plays alive. It affects, your positioning in the neutral zone and how aggressive the D are going to be, regardless if they have trust from the wingers to stay above. And it certainly affects your defensive zone. Anytime you're in your own zone for more than 6 seconds, you start to get nervous that anything could go in. So you're absolutely right. I think without the biggest problem I feel the coaches will probably have is keeping the players focused that we're still doing the right things defensively, and it's not the structure, it's not the system, and it's hard to not to have the trust when the team and the goalies aren't playing the way they should be playing. It makes you question everything. That's the biggest issue for me.
Yeah. Jordan Kyrou, a healthy scratch. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, initially, it's not like anybody is. I just feel I wish without knowing the inter details of what's going on with him individually and with the team from the outside, it's disappointing because to me, if he's struggling, he has such a great body of work over the history of his time as a Blue. It feels like he's afforded the luxury to be elevated and played more, so he plays his way out of it. The fact that we get to the point where he's taking out of the lineup makes me think there must be outside factors or what have you, because it doesn't, even if you are thinking of moving on from the player, removing him completely from the lineup as a healthy scratch doesn't help the optics of trying to do that either. So what I'm trying to say is I don't have all the information, and I know this. I know that the Blues aren't making the playoffs without a player of his caliber scoring goals and doing the things he does well. And my hope is that he gets back in and gets back to what he's really good at, which is skating and shooting and playing with a ton of energy.
Yeah, I think that's well said. When something like that happens, Jamal, is that a message sent to Kyrou, or do you feel like the entire team receives a message when a star player like that is, scratched?
It's the entire team. It's the entire team. It shakes the tree. Typically, when a guy gets taken out, you take Joseph out. Everybody on the fourth line, third line, fourth line, bottom six is like, man, I got to stay sharp. They're taking him out. I thought he's been playing good. You take a guy out in the top six. Whew, now everybody is on notice. And that's the key to me is, okay, you did it once with Kyrou, who's been in and out of favor both publicly and within the group for the last several years. The next challenge is, okay, are you willing to do the same thing when Buchnevich doesn't do it right? Are you willing to do the same thing when Shen doesn't do things right consecutively for multiple games? So that's what the top players will be looking for. Oh yeah, I get it. You're doing it to Kairu, but are you willing to do that to everybody else to keep everybody else accountable? That's something as a teammate I would be looking for as well.
All right, you can look at it like the Blues have lost 8 of their last 10, or you can say they've won 2 of their last 3. And I'm sure the team is looking at it like, hey, listen, okay, now we're starting to move in the right direction, even though they got crushed by Washington. How big of a 4-game homestand is this, Jamal? Because then they hit the road for 5. What will these 4 games tell you about the St. Louis Blues?
Yeah, we're getting to that point where they've got to start making some strides. I prefer the positive end. They've won the last 2 of the 3. You know, it may be the case that they go back to Hofer. You know, which might sound a little bit silly, but you're getting to that point where you've got to put some wins together. And I don't think you can fault the decision after the way he played and getting a shutout. I mean, obviously Binner's the number 1 guy, but I think it's okay to ride the hot hand for a few weeks if it looks like Hofer is that guy. And as a player, I'd want him in right now.
Would you be concerned about Hofer's mental struggles at home? I mean, the fact that I feel like he's gotten his game back together on the road. Do you just
Get over it.
Yeah?
He's what better time to put him back in, right? Like you're gonna put him back in when he loses the game 4-3 or 5-4 at home.
Yeah.
He just had a shutout. There's no better time psychologically if that's the concern.
Yeah.
If he's gonna get out of it, it'd be after he had a shutout.
Yeah, the only thing I just wonder, you've got some of the history stuff with Bennington passing Mike Liut for most games played in NHL history and all that. And you have a game against Tuesday coming up against Calgary. Hofer's best game prior to last night was in Calgary earlier in the year where he got the win against Calgary. He's got great numbers against the Flames. So I felt like that was his game all along. But hey, listen, maybe it changes. I mean, Ken Hitchcock used to always say, listen, you get a shutout. It doesn't matter who you are, starter or backup. You automatically start the next game, So if they had him in there Saturday against Seattle, I wouldn't have any issue with it. But we'll see how it plays out. You think it's difficult for the Blues? I mean, from a defensive standpoint, I when you watch them play, Jamal, and you've played wing, you played center, the responsibility of the center in the defensive zone, I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, sometimes I'll see the winger. He may be 2 or 3 stick lengths away from the puck, and he's not even going to get it. And the center's coming from the other side of the ice, coming all the way across to defend the puck carrier or try to get to a loose puck. I mean, it's so much work on the center. They collapse down low. They don't really occupy or defend the points a whole lot, so it may result in some shots against. I just feel like slowly but surely they're starting to execute what Monty's trying to accomplish defensively.
Yeah, I mean, short of finding out whether I'm assuming they're not doing a swarm. If they're doing a swarm or if they're doing playing man on man or man and a half, those are the 3 different options. I think that determines the amount of workload that's required from the center. For example, in a swarm situation, it's positionless. So the winger it's the first guy back would be the lower guy. So that determines a lot too. So not knowing what
He
particular
doesn't want his
system
wingers down low. He doesn't want them down low.
so then they're probably playing more of a zone or a man and a half. I would call it a man and a half. And that does require the center to basically follow the puck. So they basically play off the puck. And you're right. It requires them to do a tremendous amount of work. But the good thing is they've got mobile D that can skate, that can help kill plays. So I think that it does certainly require a lot from the center, but they clearly trust their centers to be able to do that.
Yeah. All right, Jamal. Listen, I know your son's playing as well. Everyone has kids playing hockey today. It's a big weekend for youth hockey tournaments throughout North America. We had Jeff Marek on before you. His son is playing. He was at the rink. You're going to the rink. I'm going to go home and watch my kid play on Live Burn. So looking forward to catching these games later on today. So my wife, before she drove up to Chicago, she stopped by where? Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, Jamal.
Oh, I hope everything's okay.
Well, she just always, it's like peace of mind. You just stop in there.
She just goes in and checks in there, check the tires, make sure the
check the
pressure's right,
tires,
make sure
everything's
there's
all good.
no simple leaks. Well, they've had a 48-year extraordinary years of serving their customers in the greater St. Louis area, Southern Illinois, Cape Girardeau, Columbia, Missouri, and I believe now Lake of the Ozarks.
Ooh.
It's, you know, what the best part about them is that they've got great deals on winter driving for your tires, not only on quality tires, but also exceptional auto service too. Fantastic deals to get yourself in there. Doesn't matter what you drive a truck, car, light truck, van, SUV, hybrid, EV. Dobbs has the team of experienced tire technicians and ASC certified associates to service them all. Go to Dobbs.com now for more deals.
All right, and listen, everyone's out of town. I got my girls here this weekend. What should I get them for dinner, Jamal? I'm trying to figure something out.
Oh, buddy, gotta take them to Barlino's. They have 5 restaurants, as you know: Barlino's South, Barlino's Osteria, Chris's Pancake and Dining, and Chris's at the Docket. And my favorite, Barlino's Twin Oaks, forged many lasting relationships with their customers. Their family motto: cook good food, serve plenty. 50+ years in business, only 2 places to dine: at home or one of Barlino's family restaurants.
And who puts the in spa?
Oh, dude, I know you're trying to, encroach on my deal here. And if you end up with a backyard oasis like mine's gonna be, Al, you better have me over at least to say thanks. Well, you know what? They're they deal with local master spa dealer. They have 2 locations: Sunset Hills and Overland Park. Mike Leahy is the owner of Spas and More. And the best part is, the Master Spa is an American hot tub and swim spa manufacturer located in Fort Wayne, Indiana, not far away. They are the largest hot tub and swim spa manufacturer in the U.S. They also have a deal with Michael Phelps's Chili Goat Tubs. Gotta get a cold tub. Spas and More offers high-quality hot tubs, swim spas, cold tubs, and infrared saunas for all of your health, wellness, and relaxation needs. Turn your backyard oasis of your dreams with a Master Spas from Spas and More. Spas and More located at 12957 Gravois Road in Sunset Hills, where we put the
in spa.
There you go.
Okay, good luck to crew today, Jamal. Thanks for doing this as always.
It'll be fun. You too.
Talk
Go
soon.
Tide.
All right, that's Jamal Mayers. We appreciate him joining us on this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. You know our friends at First Community. Check them out today. All the good people, Glenn Barks, First Community. Nobody supports hockey like First Community. I keep telling you that each and every week. And there's so many things you can do, so many options at First Community, including making your savings work for you. We talked about Little Blues before. Listen, with as little as $500, you can open up a certificate of deposit and earn over 5%, which is a really good rate. I mean, that's amazing. Unlike most high-risk investments, your money's totally safe because it's guaranteed. So always remember that. When your money's safe because it's guaranteed, you have nothing to worry about. So if you don't want to tie up your money, all you should do is consider a money management account, because the more you invest, the higher the rate. No monthly service charge. Your money's completely accessible to you. So make it work for you and keep it safe over at First Community. The team at First Community is there to help you figure out what's best for you. So do that today. We talked about Blue Note Roofing. How about Lordo's Diamonds? Right there in the heart of Ladue, 314-432-8008. Lordo's Diamonds, baby. Get that special someone something special in your life. And I always say, if you're looking to pop the question, there's no place you should consider outside of Lordo's Diamonds in Ladue for your engagement ring needs. If you're looking to pop the question, go there. Let Mike, let Jimmy, let all the incredible staff help you with one of the most important decisions of your life. That's what they're there for. And you walk in with a $100,000 budget or a $1,000 budget or a $500 budget, you're going to get treated exactly the same. Trust me. I've been there. I'll never go anywhere else. Lordo's Diamonds right there in the heart of Ladue. LordosDiamonds.com. Of course, Mark Cooper, again, first responders, your mortgage is covered up to $525,000 in the event that you are critically injured. 314-713-4377. If you're looking to refinance, give them my name. You'll waive all your fees. You're going to save over $2,000 on your refinance. I mean, that's easy. Just give them my name, say Hockey Sense, 314-713-4377 for cross-country mortgage. 1 in every 35 mortgages in the country are closed with cross-country mortgage and Mark Cooper. So call him today. Absolutely. All right. This has been Hockey Sense, presented by First Community. Hope you enjoyed it. Jeff Marek and obviously Jamal Mayers joining us. Love having Jammer join us each and every week, and love talking with Jeff. Great stuff with Jeff Marek today. Really good conversation. The Blues begin a 4-game homestand tomorrow night against the Seattle Kraken. Jaden Schwartz and the Seattle Kraken. So hope to see everyone down at the Enterprise Center. If you see me, say a wave and say, hey, listen, I love listening to Hockey Sense. I always want to know who's listening to the show, and we appreciate all the support that you continue to give us as we continue to broadcast live here at Half Coast Studios. Aiden, Maddie, Alex, the whole crew here. All these guys are unbelievable. So have a great weekend. Enjoy the hockey. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy the fall weather. And we'll do it again next week here on Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Have a great weekend, everybody.